We're in the forest in the Little Belt Mountains of Montana, and I come upon a stand of dead snags here. You see them, there's several of them here that are dead standing. And there's several of them, that little ones that have fallen, and then further up there's a pretty good stand of them that have big trees that have fallen down. But anyway, when a tree falls in the forest, what goes on? Okay, so if you can kind of see here, there's not a whole lot of understory. I mean, there's a lot of moss kind of growth and some low, kind of shrubby kind of stuff. Not much for grasses and other things. There's some small creeping juniper or whatever these are here. But you also have some mushroom growth. And mushrooms are the only organisms that can decompose lignin, which is the component of cellulose of wood. Fun fact, before trees developed before fungi did, for millions of years there were a tree without any fungi to decompose their dead bodies, and so they stacked and stacked and stacked, pressed and pressed and pressed for millions and millions of years, and that's where your coal comes from. Your coal beds is from that time period when there was no fungi on Earth. And here's some more mushrooms. Plus there is a spider web network of mycelium that are connecting all of these together, along with the plants and other growing things, trees and stuff. They're all connecting together in a highway network. But there's too much shade here for anything much to grow besides some mosses and whatnot. If you step out a little bit where it's getting a little bit of daylight, because some trees have fallen, and you got a little bit of grasses growing. You get some new tree life. Got some new trees popping up. There's one there, one there, one there. And then we're kind of back into the shade here. But if we come up where all this big tree plus here's some other different kind of fungi here. If you come up where all this one tree took out a whole bunch of other ones or whatever, or they all fell at once separately. Look at the difference in the understory. Look at all the grasses and look at all the shrub life that's now got the sun to pop up. You got little trees coming up. And pretty soon this is going to be super dense and there'll be no light reaching the very bottom, so everything's growing as quick as it can to outcompete everything. And these haven't been down for very long. They're still solid wood. Like this has still got green on it. That was probably dead standing and finally fell over with the wind. There's a lot of wind-blown trees down up here. So I'm thinking they get a lot of high winds or a lot of snow load. There's a lot of snow load here. Snow load plus the wind. That's also what makes for a very, very hot fire too, is this stuff on the ground that burns, that dries out and burns. But there's several different kinds of mushrooms that I have seen. Probably 5 or 6 different kinds. And you can see it. This is the life cycle of a forest. is, they're growing. Your lower branches are going to die off because they're not getting any sunlight. And you get coated with mosses and whatnot, break off with the wind, fall down. Some more mushrooms. Game trail coming through. There's some decent sized trees in here. They're not, there's one that's split. And he's already fallen down. The top half is broken off, but he's also split way down low too. Follow on the twisting growth line of the tree. And it's, I don't know, 25, 30 feet in the air where it snapped off, but it's gonna fall over some more. Another one that just uprooted and come crashing down. I wonder what kind of sound it made if there was a heavy windstorm or microburst. This root here, still attached to the ground, still got tension on it. But if there was a big windstorm and these trees started coming down, what kind of crashing noise would it make? The ground is just spongy with decaying tree matter. Just super thick in there. It could be hard to walk through there. Different species of trees, pines and firs. Here's an old one. Oh, pretty. The color on that. Some cool color. I've been fascinated with colors. Think about what kind of shear force it takes to snap even a, because this was live, snap that tree. You know, it's 10 inches in diameter, and it was, I don't know, it's laying up there, it was probably 60 foot tall, you know, and it's not all alone, you know, it's in a forest, so it's semi-protected. But just to shear that off, just to split that trunk up, you know, it's not like it was weak in the ground. It wasn't like this one here pulled completely out of the ground. What kind of forces are at work with the wind to snap trees? Does it have something to do with maybe it did it in the wintertime when it was super cold with the snow load, like I said, having that added extra weight? Anyway, there's some other types of mushroom further down here. It's not super steep here, but it gets steep. Or like a little ridge line here. It gets pretty steep. And there's a bunch of trees that have uprooted and snapped over there too. And they're a little bit more exposed to the front edge of the wind. We're heading north ways. So they're going to catch the north winds that blow through here kind of full on. Get down here in a reasonable amount of time. Here's that grassy area here, and it's just amazing how fast that grass grows, and the trees and the shrubs, how fast they sprout up when they have that opportunity. Let's get down here without getting all cut to hell here. Scratch to hell. Old one. I wonder how old that is. 10 years old maybe? I don't know. That would be my guess, is in that range. Another little game trail here. Heading down. And you can kind of see, you know, there's a drop off here, and it's getting steeper and steeper. This one's got some. Oh. So look at these guys, and they are hard. I'm sure they're well past dropping sport. This is another one that had snapped off. That's the way down. That's a steep hill. I mean, climbing up it, you run out of breath. But anyway, just thought I'd take you on a quick little tour of a little bit of life cycle in a forest.